Hey lads, my name is Skychrew. Welcome to the dumbest episode of Game Theory about Markiplier's video of Smash or Pass, the Pokemon edition. This somebody made a Markiplier's perfect Pokemon. I don't know what this is all gonna be about. How can there be a theory about Markiplier's, let's say, preferences, flavors in Pokemon? Would they say he smashed them or passed them? I don't know what this is gonna be. Is this even a theory? It's just a Markiplier, his own opinion, you know? He even said, I'm not going to explain anything just as it is. All links down below. Subscribe to this channel, lads. Let's check this out. By the way, reference to people who actually know this town. GG's on you. There you go. Let's start.
Pass.
Pass. Squirtle. Pass. Mortal. Pass. Same for me. Pass.
Pass.
What's this?
Pass.
Kakuna.
Smash.
Wait, why would he want to smash a Beedrill?
Beedrill.
Can he, like, crush it?
No,
it's
fuck
a big
it.
Bug?
Have sex with it. That's what it is, dude.
Like a smooshing
No, dude. He wants to do it with it.
Maybe.
Oh my god, Matt.
Oh.
Yes, intercourse with it. It wants to have an intercourse with it.
Oh, gross.
Well, pretty much. Pretty much.
Hello,
But it doesn't exist, so
welcome
who
to
gives a fuck?
Game Theory, the
Pokemon
show
does not
that
exist in real
has
life.
The opportunity to ask you to smash that subscribe.
Subscribe to this button.
Very proud of that.
Subscribe to this
intro.
channel.
Today's episode is dumb, stupid, whoopid, silly.
I was
in
about to say.
all the best ways possible. Not since the Luigi's Eggplant episode has there been something this dumb and ridiculous on the channel.
Yeah.
But you know what? Here we are, and I gotta admit, I am excited about it. We've been so
Oh, yeah.
serious.
Oh, really?
lately, talking about FNAF and Inscription.
The politics and stuff and shit like that.
Basics, the roots of this channel. Analyzing one man deciding whether or not he'd enjoy having relations with 900 fictional animals.
Oh, yeah.
Markiplier.
Hit him with the dab! It's still alive! It's 2020! Come on, bring it back!
We actually have a bit of back and forth when it comes to our channels. He plays Power Wash Simulator and asks for a theory.
I want a deep dive video from Matt Pat about the lore of Power Wash Simulator.
Oh, really?
I, like the good friend that I am, make the theory about it.
Of course.
He creates a mystery series full of lore. I dissect said lore. He plays Security Breach and calls people who pick Monty Golf nerds.
Anyone that picks Monty Golf is just a nerd.
I, of course, go on to pick Monty Golf. Woo! Gator Golf! But if there's one
Of
thing I
course.
love more than Mark, it's math. Numbers. That sweet, sweet data.
Fuck that.
So Mark
Fuck
uploaded
that.
a Smash or Pass video covering
I hate
all
math.
900 Pokemon. That was like the stars of content aligning. The whole thing happened with no context, no explanation, and
Yeah.
seemingly no consistency.
Just like this.
Pass. I really did not mean to say smash. This is horrifying. Smash.
But what if there was a subconscious pattern here? Some sort of logic that cuts through
Of
the
course!
tiny random
Think
knee-jerk
about it.
choices.
It's
What if
his
there was a
brain.
Pokemon that Markiplier missed. Or better yet, what if we created for Markiplier his perfect Pokemon? I had to look into it. And with the power of math on my side,
Of course.
I believe I found something. Despite the preferences that he voices in the video, his subconscious was making decisions that even he didn't fully understand.
How?
Smash. But why?
Well, don't worry, Mark. As your friend,
But why?
I'm gonna help you out. So let's dive into this meme-ish madness to see what this video actually tells us
Let's check it
about
out.
Markiplier's Smash or Pass preferences. Also,
Yep.
quick disclaimer before we start, not here to cast judgment or comment on any sort of sexuality. We're just sticking to the data and the trends that Mark provided about his preferences on
Of course.
fictional creatures. Love equals love, even when that means Mark's love for a giant sentient pile of sand.
Weirdly smash.
When the Smash or Pass video ends, Mark has said Smash to 73 Pokemon.
That's a lot.
Yes, I recognize that the video counter actually says 72, but when he says Smash to Lunala, the counter doesn't go up for whatever reason. When you look at the totality
Well,
of the
it should.
73 that he chose, there's a real variety here. So before we get into the whole data set, I thought it'd be a good idea to start with the Pokemon that he didn't just choose to smash, but that he had a noticeable response to.
Ah,
Over the course of
okay.
the video, there are 3 in particular that merit an over-the-top reaction. Florges, Sarina,
Smash.
and Pheromosa.
Smash. Smash.
Smash.
Lining these 3 up side by side, you can immediately start to see a trend appearing. What I would describe as traditionally humanoid feminine features. Sultry eyes, long legs, that kind of thing. Pheromosa and Sarina even talk about these features in their Pokedex entries. Quote from Pheromosa's Ultra Sun entry,
A life form that lives in another world, its body is thin and supple, but it also possesses great power.
and from Pokemon Sword's entry on Sarina,
This feared Pokemon has long, slender legs and a cruel heart. It shows
Of
no
course.
mercy as it stomps on its opponents.
what this shows us Plus is not only do these two have traditionally feminine qualities,
Of course.
they're also incredibly strong and prone to violence. Definitely coincides with data that we've seen from Mark in the past.
How many times have I said, I want a woman that could crush my head between her thighs?
Yeah, Pheromosa definitely has those step on me vibes.
People might mistake me for some kind of a masochist, which isn't true and would be ridiculous for people to think about.
In fact, I was surprised by how many Pokemon he chose that did have sharp teeth, claws, talons, and spikes.
Okay,
19
dude.
to be precise.
That's a lot.
26% of his choices. Now, obviously, that means that 74% of his choices didn't have things that could cut, tear, or gouge him.
Well,
but it
yeah.
felt like quite a high percentage for someone that vehemently denies being a masochist.
Do you think Mark is a masochist? Yes. It's so completely obvious.
Oh, really?
For some reason he's in denial about it.
Outside of those physical features, about it, nothing
Proof,
much to unite the key
dude,
three,
proof.
So I then took a look at the wider data set, and it's there that you really start to see some fascinating trends. Looking at every Pokemon Mark would smash, his overwhelming preference for
A lot.
Pokemon from Generation 7. 16
Who gives
of
a
the
fuck about which
73,
generation it
roughly
is?
22%, including choices like Zalazzle and Primarina. The interesting thing about that is that Generation 7 primarily took place in Alola, Pokemon's version of
Alola.
Hawaii. And wouldn't you know it, but Mark was born in Hawaii. Clearly, he felt some
Interesting.
kind of deep-seated connection with the Pokemon native to his birthplace,
Oh,
despite these choices
something
being
like
made
that.
without him recognizing anyone past Gen 1.
Now we're getting to
Hey,
things I
hey,
have no
hey,
idea.
hey.
Are these even
Put
real
this-
Pokemon anymore?
Sometimes the heart just can't articulate what the heart wants, but deep down, it knows what feels right.
It's
and
dead
while Mark
hard.
immediately shows an innate preference for leggy Hawaiians, beyond that, he appears to be fairly open-minded. Take typing, for instance. Mark, in
Pokemon.
general, shows no discrimination. Every type here has been smashed at least twice. But his
Nice.
top types are Psychic, which came out to 11 smashes, closely followed by Water with 10.
Oh.
All the rest were 8 or lower, with Steel and Rock being the bottom two categories.
But does it
So
really
Psychic
matter? It's
being at the top
appearance.
actually makes a lot of
He
sense when you
did
think
the
about it.
appearance,
We've
not
established
the
Mark's
class of it
attraction
or
to
the
humanoid
type.
figures in the Pokemon. And if you look
God
at
of War,
Psychic
of
types,
course.
a decent number of them appear to be in the human-like egg group. Even ones that don't appear there do tend to have human or fairy-like qualities, like Mewtwo or the Tapu legendaries. Speaking of appearances, it's probably worth talking about color. I mean, things like type aren't necessarily obvious when you first look at it.
Yeah, exactly, I was about to
This
say
running joke
that.
about Pseudo-Wudo looking like a tree, but actually being a rock type.
Pseudo-Wudo's a rock type? That's pretty hard to believe. Rock types are usually rough and rocky. Pseudo-Wudo's more like a grass Pokemon.
So, while Mark's type selection may have been more of a subconscious one, color is something that's very hard to ignore when the Pokemon is right there in front of you. Looking
really?
at the primary and secondary colors of each of his choices, Mark showed a preference towards Pokemon that contained large amounts of the color purple, closely followed
really?
by pink and black. Purple, to me, seemed like an obvious choice, as I've always associated with the Psychics, but when I look back at it, there aren't actually that many purple Psychic types. I guess it was always the Psychic Energy card from the TCG that had been burned into my brain. Anyway, purple
really?
in color theory combines the calm stability of blue
Who
with
is
the
these
fierce energy
characters?
of red. Both
Who
things
are
I think
they?
embody Mark to a T.
I'm pretty sure this was not part of my contract, and frankly, I hate everything you stand for and everything that you are.
Oh my god! I'm done! Oh god! Oh my god!
Purple is also the color associated with royalty. Again, a not too unfamiliar Markiplier trait.
Place the crown upon my head and then call me the king of Five Nights at Freddy's!
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Mark's preferences when it comes to other features.
8
Of
feet
course.
tall? Are you kidding me?
She's very large, very powerful, very large.
Height and weight, obviously not something that's immediately obvious when you look at a Pokemon. And if you have any connection with the anime, you know that height and weight are, inconsistent there at best. But I looked at it anyway. Mark did choose a couple of big
Well,
boys,
sure.
namely Wailord at 14
His eyes moved,
meters,
dude.
47 feet long, and weighing in at the whopping 398 kilograms.
I think of it as a
or
meme.
877
He didn't mean it.
pounds.
It's a
Something
meme.
tells me, Mark, in that situation, you're not the one doing the smashing. And while that's certainly one end of the spectrum, he once again shows a willingness to diversify his tastes, with him going so far as to smash Sinistee, the black tea Pokemon that measures in at 0.1 meters or 4 inches tall and weighs in at only 0.2 kilograms or 0.4 pounds. All that being said, when you look at the graph, there is a definite trend here. Sure, there are a number of outliers, but most of his choices were under
I don't know,
100
man.
kilograms and also under 2 meters in height, with his averages sitting at 1.53 meters, just over 5 foot tall, and 58 kilograms, or 130
Try to find the
pounds.
perfect one,
The
dude.
average woman in the United States is 1.5 meters, or 5 foot 3.5 inches tall, and weighs in at
My wife is taller than
77.5
this.
kilograms, or 171 pounds. So in spite of Markiplier's insistence that he likes him
By a
big,
lot, by a tiny
How
bit.
many times have I said, I want a woman that could crush my head in between her thighs.
The evidence actually shows that his preference is for Pokemon that are smaller than average.
I'm king of the squirrels!
I mean, I wasn't implying that small, but you did just help me segue into my next point, animal groups. You know, mammals, fish, reptiles, birds, amphibians, invertebrates, those sorts of groups. It's a very simple way for us to group animals based on certain features.
When Mark will watch this, he'll
Already
fucking
has
laugh,
a
dude,
version
I'm
of this,
telling
which
you.
is the egg groups, but egg
Sheesh,
groups are
man.
weirdly unspecific, especially when it comes to some of the
Amorphous.
larger
What the
categories.
fuck is
field group,
Amorphous?
for instance, is the most common group, so it's not surprising that it
I
came
never
out
heard
as the
about this
number
stuff.
one.
And I'm a Pokemon channel in a way at the start
The
of
group
this
itself
channel.
is very
And I don't know what's
random.
Amorphous
Mammals like
freaking
Black
type.
Bunny, but also
The fuck
reptiles
is
like Arbok and birds like Blaziken. So as the group consists of many different types and appearances, it seemed pretty unhelpful from a data standpoint. Hence, I broke the data down into what each Pokemon looks like, adding a couple of extra categories like objects, ghosts, plants, and humans to cover all the bases. I initially thought that birds were going to be at the top because so many of his picks were just straight up birds like Swanna and Mandibuzz, but the data was actually a bit more spread out than I expected, with 4 groups all basically tied for the top slot: birds, bugs, mammals, and humanoids. I did try to take it a step further. Maybe it wasn't actual birds that came out on top, but maybe bird-like faces, pointed and sharp features. Think Pokemon like Zoroark with its elongated face, or Malamar, who's more like a squid but has a beak and is just very long and pointed. However, the data surprised me here, as 18 faces do fit the sharp, pointed description, but it was trounced by the 35 Pokemon he chose with rounded facial features, like Gardevoir, Sliggoo, Ledian, and of course, Magneton. Can't get much rounder than literal orbs. Now, obviously, we can't measure things like age when it comes to Pokemon, other than the odd Pokedex entry like Florges that talks about him being centuries old. Evolution, on the other hand, is measurable. How many
What?
evolutions in each
How?
Pokemon's evolutionary chain? How do they evolve? What stage of the evolutionary chain does
I don't know,
Markiplier
this is
prefer?
kinda
And
boring.
It seems like you like some
Like,
mature.
I respect
Of the
Game
73
Theorists, but it's
Smashes,
just weird.
42 were fully evolved forms, and 33 of those came from a 2-step evolution process. It's also worth noting that most of his choices were evolutions brought about by leveling rather than things like items, friendship, or trading.
Oh yeah,
Weirdly,
better
the
by my
results tell
eyes.
us what I think we can all
I
agree
feel better
on.
by a
Mark
lot.
works hard, and he surrounds himself with people who also work hard. He
Oh,
puts
really?
a lot of effort into his content. He works
Yes?
out regularly. At least I thought he did.
You exercise often and stay active. No, not lately.
And so he appreciates a Pokemon in his life that's not gonna be there just for show, but instead is gonna be putting in the effort alongside him. But effort into what? What skills does he find particularly useful? Well, it turns out Mark wants a companion that stays close to him and can fend off attackers from a distance. One that he would never have to send directly out into dangerous territory. In short, he's a big fan of Pokemon with high special attack stats and low defense stats. To me, this translates to Mark being fiercely loyal and protective over a small handful of people, keeping them very close, keeping them safe, but maybe being distant himself to those outside of his inner circle. And just like that, we've come to the end of my data-driven journey. In all the data collection,
what
these
is
were
it?
the strongest and most interesting results, but what if we took it a step further? I know Mark reacted to all the Pokemon, his list is definitive of what he would and would not smash, but what if there was something he missed? One that in the flow of the video he said pass on without considering. What is the perfect Pokemon for Markiplier based on all the data that we just crunched? It's time I pull out
Don't
the
know,
big
man.
guns, or as the man himself would say,
This is big brain time.
so after analyzing
big
all our
brain
data,
time.
we can determine that Markiplier's perfect match needs
It's
to be about
Pikachu.
4 foot 5 inches to 5 foot tall,
It's
1.35
Pikachu.
to 1.53 meters, and weigh in between 80 and 128 pounds, 36 to 58 kilos. They need to be a purple psychic type with high special attack and low physical defense. They need to
It's
be a
Mewtwo.
fully evolved form of a 2-step evolutionary line, which is achieved via leveling up. They need
Shit.
to be in the field egg group, and more specifically have the appearance
Find
of a
one
mammal,
like this.
bird, human, or bug. And ideally, they got some strong, long legs that he can crush his head between. And so, plugging all that into the computer, we get, drumroll please, nothing. Mark didn't just pass on one by accident. All the features just don't exist in one package. But don't worry, theorists. I wasn't content to leave you or Mark empty-handed. Maybe there's a Pokemon that's close enough.
Fucking
one that ticks almost
clickbait
all the
shit, we
boxes,
didn't know.
just not quite all of them. After digging around for several hours of my life that I'll never get back, I present to you the Pokemon that fits the bill.
Oh, so-
Xiao. Height right in the pocket at 1.4 meters. Weight right there at 35.5 kilos. Mean Xiao isn't a psychic type, but it is definitely purple, has low physical defense, and is the final form of a 2-stage evolution. And to round it all off, Mean Xiao is a mammal and part of the field egg group. And what's most interesting
Is
of
it?
all was Mark's response to Mean Xiao during his video.
That would definitely make me a furry. Pass.
He paused to think about his decision, but what ultimately made him pass was the idea of the social stigma, what people might perceive him to be if he were to make that choice. Otherwise, it seemed like he was all ready to say Smash like he smashed Lot Bunny just moments before, asking the exact same thing.
Would this make me a furry if I said Smash? Smash.
I guess what I and the data
Lapunia would be the fucking perfect Pokemon.
Just go with your heart. Don't let society tell you what's right or wrong for you to smash. After all, Diamond and Pearl explicitly state that, quote, there once were people who married Pokemon. This was a normal thing because long ago, people and Pokemon were the same. So wanting to smash Pokemon isn't about being a furry. Instead, it's just about following the natural order, where Pokemon could become people and people could become Pokemon, and there was no judgment on either side. And you know, I think we could all learn a little lesson from that. And who knows, the Pokemon Company did just announced a brand new generation, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So maybe this new generation will provide Mark with his perfect Pokemon. But then again, that's an awfully long time to wait. So how about I take matters into my own hands? Well, not literally my hands, considering I have zero art skills whatsoever. But instead, I decided to hire an artist to design Mark's perfect Pokemon for us using all the attributes that we talked about today. One with a generally rounded face but pointy features and sultry eyes. A purple mammal that would conceivably have psychic abilities. Maybe some long, strong legs that could crush a man's head, as well as some sharp claws for good measure. A Pokemon that suggests femininity but without being overly sexualized. And all of it wrapped inside of a character design that could conceivably appear in a future Pokemon game, as opposed to something that was just designed for Mark's visual entertainment. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Markiplier's perfect Pokemon. I have to say, no matter what Mark thinks, I think this turned out great. You keep your leering male gaze elsewhere, my friend. I love this design. Not smashable
this
way.
is a very good one.
Not necessarily not in a smashable way. I just think it's great. I feel like I should submit it to Game Freak. I think our artist crushed it. She did an incredible job. All of her links are going to be down in the description below, but fun's not over yet. This Pokemon doesn't have a name, so sound off in the comments what you think we should call this thing. I am fascinated to see what you guys come up with, which means that there's only one thing left for you to smash, and that's the subscribe button.
Subscribe to this channel. 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 Subscribe to this channel.
That are slightly more serious than this one. One looking into the Markiplier connected universe, which is going to be important with In Space coming up soon, and one about the secret messages that are hidden inside the channel that shall not be named. Unis honest. Can't have your theory proved wrong if the evidence no longer
you should
exists,
respect the Momentum moment, dude. Don't come back to it, dude. Subscribe because you're gonna lose amazing fucking reactions from this channel. Yes, sir.
Preference were Pokemon from Generation 7, 16 of the 73, roughly 22%, including choices like Zalazzle and Primarina. The interesting thing about that is that Generation 7 primarily took place in Alola, Pokemon's version of Hawaii, and wouldn't you know it, but Mark was born in Hawaii. Clearly, he felt some kind of deep-seated connection with the Pokemon